Welcome to Android Authority on Air, the original Android Hangout show on Google+. I'm Derek Ross.
And I am Scott Anderson.
I'm Dan Charlton.
And I'm Jonathan Franklin.
This week on Android Authority on Air, we're going to announce last week's contest winner. We're going to talk about some apps like the Google Play Store, Babel, Google Keep, some devices, some rootin' and ramen news, which we haven't hit in a long time. We got some carrier information. They're continuing to LTE all the things. And we got some patents. Microsoft and Oracle and Nokia, they're hating on Google, and we don't like it. So, all right, so let's get started. Let's talk about this contest. So last week I was sick. I wasn't around for the contest. You guys gave away a Nexus 4 charging orb, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, how'd that go? You had a good response? I saw there was like a couple hundred comments, like three or 400 comments or something on the post.
And I think, Josh, said there were 300 or 350 entries, so
yeah.
A lot of people entered. Only one could win, obviously.
Well, I have that winner, and that is Patrick Tremblay. Patrick, we are going to be in contact with you, if not already, and just give us your shipping information, and we will ship out the charging orb to you. Congratulations. Once again, look for a message on Google+. We'll get your information that way. So,
I'm surprised I didn't get picked.
you did you actually try to win, Scott?
I entered. I put the hashtag.
Isn't it a general...
Josh ruled us out, though.
Isn't it a general rule of thumb, that family of employees and employees themselves can't win?
Well, you know what? Joshua said it was international. I thought that included me. Apparently not. Apparently it didn't. That's okay.
He did deduplicate it, and I'm pretty sure, he stripped away people like us.
Well, Patrick is an international winner, actually. He's from Canada.
Well, there you go.
All right, so congrats again, Patrick. All right, so Scott, let's talk about the Google Play Store. Pre-show, Scott and I were talking, and I was saying I loved the new update, and I like it because it's a completely revamped UI. Hollow light. It doesn't look like anything like the old one. It's using like Google Now style cards. It's much more minimalistic, much cleaner. Content is actually easier to find. And there's featured cards with content on large cards. Things aren't hidden. It's much easier to find what you're looking for. Not that I thought the old Play Store was that bad, but using the new version, I think, wow, it really was that bad. So besides, major UI changes, the icons now match the website. So if you go to play.google.com on the web, those icons and category names are now mimicked on the Android app, so it makes things more seamless and more simpler to find. The checkout process is easier when you're going to order a movie. And one thing I like is on the old Play Store, you could put a pin on there, so if anybody gets your phone, you lose it. Friends, family, kids, trust me, you got to put this on. If you have kids, they'll buy apps all the time. Well, on the old Play Store, you put a pin on there, and you had to put the pin in to buy an app, right? Well, if somebody went into the manage applications and went to Google Play Store and hit clear settings, and cleared the cache, clear data, it cleared the pin. So now there's no pin. So now you're free to go in and buy stuff, right? That's kind of a false sense of security. Well, now that's been changed, thankfully, and it's password restriction based upon your Google account. So you can set it up to enter your Google account password every time you go to buy something. And it's synced to the cloud, so if somebody goes in and clears app data, it's not going to screw you over. It's nice. I like it. It works out well. So, Scott, I love it. Obviously, I'm talking good stuff here. So you're not a fan. What's up, buddy?
Okay, it is a brand new UI, and it is really, really nice to my eyes. It is more Google Now-y. It does not flow like Google Plus does, like the Google Plus cards on the mobile. That'd be kind of cool. Might be a little bit too much, though. But basically, I don't think it shows as much as the old Play Store did. I think that the the bezel basically between the cards is too much for a phone. Now, on a tablet, if you ever use the new UI on a tablet, like the Nexus 7, it is beautiful and it works. It's great. But the condensed size, not so much. That's my 2 cents.
So, John, you had a comment?
Yeah, I agree. It could be smoother. It looks a lot nicer. I do feel like the old Play Store was trying a little bit too hard to be kind of like Windows Phone 7 and the whole tile feature thing. Another thing that irks me, it's not so much related to this update, but it's something they need to fix with mobile play, is like when you have curated app lists or recommended app lists and you go to like Reading 2.0, I think was the one this week, they're still pushing like crappy iOS ports, and then like who runs through these lists? Like Engadget is a recommended app where The Verge is non-existent on there, and The Verge is a great app, and the Engadget phone app is trash. So they kind of need to not necessarily punish developers that don't accommodate good UI design principles, but they definitely don't need to reward them for a mediocre effort, in my opinion.
Personally, I think you need to stop. I mean, it curates people from your Google Plus, so I think you need to stop circling people that are downloading the Engadget app.
I'm not talking about the personalized results. I'm talking about the ones that Google put up for like these are reading apps that you can try. That they, Tavares Ford puts the list together, and apps like Engadget are on there, and the Engadget app is terrible.
Yeah, it is pretty bad.
I think Google just knows that you're circling people that love that app.
I understand, though. I think that maybe some reins need to be tightened.
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of DUI direction that they're going is nice, and it's not terribly surprising that they're kind of carting all of the things, given Matthias Duarte's background of carting all of the things in WebOS. So it's not really a big surprise that that's where Android's going with him on board, but it looks good, just like it did in WebOS. So I think it's a welcome change.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they kind of all UI colors, it's really distinct that you are looking at books or you are looking at movies or you are looking at apps. I mean, you just kind of know because the whole bar and everything is just a different color, which that's nice.
Yeah, it makes it very easy.
So all we need now is for Google Play Music to get updated off the Honeycomb Tron theme, and we'll be okay.
Yeah,
apps could use an update too.
That's true too.
Maybe that's coming with the next version of Android. Maybe that's coming at I/O here next month.
If they wait till I/O, I'm going to be upset.
Because
release all the things right now.
Because the candy you got this week wasn't good enough.
Just release all the things.
All right, so let's talk about something that might be released at I/O, or according to our colleague Nate Swanner, he thinks that it's going to be released before I/O. And you know what? It could be. Let's talk about Babel for a second. Babel, Babel, Bobble, Booble, whatever. Let's just talk about unified messaging. I don't care what you call it.
Wait, no. The name, there's a lot to a name. It's not going to be Babel.
No.
They're not going to call it Babel.
You think that's just an internal code name?
Yes.
No. Oh, no, I think it very well could be Babel.
It could be Babel, and
I think it could be spelled that way.
But Babel?
I don't think anybody would pronounce it Babel, though.
I think Babel's just an inside joke, probably.
Either way, besides how it's spelled and what it's called, let's talk about some leaks. Some confirmation that we definitely... I mean, if there's any doubt in your mind that it's not coming, some users this week reported deleting their chat logs in Gmail. And when they did, it said, hey, the conversation's been deleted. However, because one or more conversations is part of Babel chat, some parts of the conversation may be available on other devices. Meaning that you may have deleted the conversation from Gmail, but since Babel is rumored to sync everything, that means that somebody can pull up the conversation on their device, even though you deleted it from Gmail. And that's basically what it was saying. So that showed up for a few users, meaning that it's coming, and they reference, Babel. So it's definitely real. And Google Groups has also been hemorrhaging bug reports about Babel, where someone was talking about another app in Chrome, and they said, "Well, I'm not running the Babel chat app," or "This has nothing to do with Babel," things like that. And just seeing developers talking about it in Google Groups, in the developer chat meetings, that it's definitely coming. So some more reassurance, some more leaks. Now let's get into some actual feature leaks. Babel is rumored leaked that it will sync across all devices. Like I said, it's going to be on iOS, it's going to be on Chrome, it's going to be on Android. Your notifications are going to be synced, which means no more redundant notifications, which kind of happens now with Google Talk and Messenger. Once you read a notification from, say, your tablet, it'll be gone from your desktop browser, Chrome, or it'll be gone from your phone. You won't need to go to all of your devices and swipe away all your notifications. Yeah, so they're going to be synced, which is great. Supposedly, there's going to be a desktop app, which means it's going to be browser independent. I don't know how that works with the rumor of it working with Chrome as well, but obviously it's going to have to if it's going to work with Chrome OS. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. Yeah, it could just be a Chrome app packaged as a standalone application, right? Like, you can get a computer to run HTML5 and other web stuff locally. Just bundle it up into an application and serve it.
Well, I mean, that's what they're doing, with the notification thing.
Yeah.
In the dev channel. I mean, they're doing it right now, and they could just unveil it in front of us. I mean, they're just kind of getting ready, I guess.
But the fact that it says that it's browser independent in the leak, meaning that means it's a native Windows app, is what I'm thinking. It sounds like.
Well, and also, I mean, I believe it still works if I exit out of my Chrome browser. I don't know if that's true, though.
The Chrome process, we'll get technical here for a second. So if I close down Chrome, there's a Chrome process running in my background for a background task running actually for the Google Talk chat. So Chrome doesn't actually fully close; it keeps the process open for a background app.
So why wouldn't it just do that?
Because
it would act like a standalone, basically.
Because the leak says browser independent, meaning that you don't have a browser installed.
The point is, though, the service that Chrome is running in the background could be duplicated as a standalone item.
It could be.
That's the only piece you'd need to break out to make what would otherwise run as part of Chrome or in Chrome as a browser run independently is just one little sliver to break out as a standalone.
Yeah, well, and running as a desktop app really is a little sliver of a feature too. I mean, who really cares if it's independent or not independent when we're more focused on the actual features of the app itself. So right now, it's only going to support Talk, Hangouts, and Messenger will be unified, but there is a ray of hope for those of you that were hoping for Google Voice integration. The leak said that Voice will eventually be merged as well, but there's no timeline. So that could be, a year from now. Who knows? John, you had a comment?
Just the root of them putting this together really is their Meebo acquisition too. So if they put out a desktop independent app, there's nothing saying they couldn't put a kind of an all-in-one chat app that does Jabber and XMPP and a lot of other protocols to try to give somebody a true all-in-one solution, even if they're using Yahoo IM or whatever. Just give them a quality.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It could be just like Meebo was. It could be when they say a desktop app that's browser independent. That means that could mean it's just a website you go to and it's a web app, which would be browser independent. It would work on any browser. Or so if you're running IE or Firefox or Safari, you could go to, let's say, babelchat.google.com. You sign in, you load your web app, and there you go. Or you can install the Chrome extension if you're on Chrome. Last on the list here of leaks, that there's going to be tons of emoji icons, tons of emoji. There's going to be apparently 800 different ones, ranging from smiley faces to animals to anything that AOL chat used to have. So if you're into that, it's going to have it. Yeah, that's good, right?
That just seems like overkill.
Yeah, and so group. If you're in like right now, let's say all of us are in a group chat. You know, we're sitting there, we're babeling, right? we're chatting back and forth to one another, and we say, hey, we want to do a hangout. You just hit a button, just similar to Messenger. You can take a group chat to a hangout. That feature is going to be there. Conversation records. So no, you're not going to have to go into Gmail anymore to search for conversations. It's going to have a history built into the to the app, or accessible history from the app. And apparently, this is going to have a quote first-class iOS experience. So that's good. Yeah.
It's not surprising. Most of Google's apps are first-class experience on iOS as well.
Well, yeah. Well, look at Maps. Maps is
exactly
over there. Over there on the dark side, you know, I referenced it like it's like, you know, like, yeah, it's good over there. Ugh.
If you're stuck behind that massively high wall.
That walled garden. All right, so Scott, do we have any, you're my app guy. Do we have any other apps to talk about here before we move on to some devices?
Chrome Beta got full screen. Woohoo!
Nice.
Chrome Beta, yeah. So let's say, well, first of all, it's awesome to have your whole screen as the browser. It's just awesome. If you haven't used like Dolphin or any other browser that's used it, and you haven't experienced it, and you just know Chrome, it's awesome. And hopefully this gets to the stable build quickly. Basically, when you scroll down, it just, the top bar just kind of floats away. Very nice. And if you have a smaller screen, allows you to view more. If you have a bigger screen, again, allows you to view more. Very nice, I think. And it's, you know, less buggy. Beta's getting a lot better. I really can't wait. Do you guys think that they're going to come out with a dev channel for mobile?
I mean, I think the beta is the dev channel for mobile.
No, that's stupid. Why would they have...
Well, the mobile's already kind of a port over from the desktop anyway, where you already have the dev channel. So, I mean, maybe, but I just don't see it.
I want the dev channel.
Well, who knows, Scott? Maybe that'll be announced at I/O. That'll be their major Chrome announcement. It won't have anything to do with anything else. It'll be announcing the Chrome dev channel for Android.
This suspense is killing me.
All right, so let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about, you know, late accessories. So Nexus devices are known for a couple different things. You know, timely updates.
What else?
So timely updates, latest version of Android. You know, factory images. You know, from Google. And late accessories. I think that's pretty much part of the deal. That it's kind of like a hidden feature. It's not really, you know, it's not one that's really talked about a whole lot. But Nexus devices have fashionably late accessories, and that's just something.
They're not fashionably late.
They're just really late.
They're just late.
Yeah, they're late.
So
nothing fashionable about it.
So 5 or 6 months isn't fashionable.
No, not in the tech world.
Just
5 or 6 months of showing up to the party with a fifth of vodka in your hand when you're already trashed while everybody else is having a pretty good time.
So what are we talking about here, Dan? What happened with Nexus devices this week?
Well, the Nexus 10 got the accessory that you announced. Glass, I suppose, really isn't a Nexus device, but there's been a lot of Glass rumors coming this week. So TechCrunch confirms that Google is going to ship Glass within a month, which does make sense because Google I/O is in about a month.
Yeah, that makes sense, because what are developers supposed to develop on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense.
There's also a rumor out there that Google is looking to hire 40 Glass advisors for support. The rumor says it's a 1-year contract in New York City, Los Angeles, or San Francisco with possible retail work involved. So hiring people up, probably going to be, you know, out on the streets talking to people, showing off Glass.
Yeah, so I mean, that makes sense. Now, you know, we don't like to confirm or not or unconfirm, you know, rumors, but it's a viable rumor. Let's say glass ends up being $300 to $500 at retail cost. That's still a lot of money for somebody to spend on a device, a type of device they've never bought before. So you have to sell it to them. So
Absolutely.
and the rumor is that there's going to be glass events around the country, and these retailers, or I'm sorry, this support staff will provide support to, you know, journalists, to people in the media, to celebrities, to people at these events. They're going to be actively talking about glass. They don't want them to get it and be like, I don't know how to use this thing. You know, they want these people promoting glass to know what they're doing. So it makes perfect sense. You don't want somebody to promote your product that doesn't even know anything about it.
Yep. I'm also imagining like canvassers on the streets showing it off to people.
You know, like on Times Square or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see street vendors and stuff doing stuff like that. That sort of stuff. So that like the ordinary person walking by can actually like sit down and see it and get an idea of what is this thing before they go and spend that much money on something, especially because Google's probably going to sell it online. And people are going to be like, I don't have a clue what this thing is. I've never even touched one.
Well, that was the interesting part of that rumor, that it said, you know, rumors are rumors, who knows, they may or may not ever come to fruition, but they said that there's a possibility that Google would open up 3 stores around the country, as you said, in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York. So they would have a retail location where people could come in and try that. And that kind of goes back to that whole rumor months ago about a brick and mortar store that Andy Rubin said, nope, not happening. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, glass really is the kind of product that needs a retail front end because it's something that consumers need tactile experience with. They need to touch it. They need to see it, literally, in order to get a feel for whether or not they're going to want it. And the only way you can do that is with a place for them to come in and do that. So, yeah. The other big glass rumor is that Google is going to be launching a collective for investing. So investing into developers producing applications for and on Google Glass.
Yeah, Jan, did you? John, did you have something to say about that?
Well, as far as the putting people on the streets, another one you have to do is kind of condition people to a new technology like that anyway.
Exactly.
The average person that looks at glass is like thinking it's a little bit Tony Stark. So if you get people out there in the streets working with people, showing them, after all the media is like, you know, the bad side of glass, people could be recording your every move and everything. You have to get people accustomed to the fact that this is the shift in technology moving forward.
Yeah, you should get them accustomed to, hey, this really could be a creeper's device, and this is how you fight that.
But
No, it's not going to be.
All right, so another thing that came out of the Glass Collective's announcement was during their PR announcement, one of the firms involved said that they backed a handful of apps already, and they mentioned Twitter, which at South by Southwest a month ago, we found out that there was an Evernote app, a New York Times app, you know, Gmail, Google Plus, and Path. But Twitter wasn't mentioned, so I don't know if they've come on board since then or not. But either way, there's going to be a Twitter app. So those of you that like to tweet, you know, there you go. You know, and I think that, you know, as you're walking down the street or whatever, and you want to send a real quick message to Twitter, you know, I think Glass is a perfect avenue for that. You know, because Twitter's about, you know, real quick, short status, you know, messages. You know, so you say a few words by voice command. You know, post this picture that I just took without someone's consent to Twitter. You know, because that's what people are going to do. Right? I'm kidding. People aren't.
Glass will actually spell the word correctly. So all these misspelled sentences might just disappear.
You mean unlike Siri?
We don't even need. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some more hardware news, more device news. Today, two big things happened for Samsung. One, the Galaxy Note 8 is now available here in the U.S. And two, the Galaxy Mega 5.8 and 6.3 were officially announced. So let's talk about the Note 8 real quick.
First of all, let's go on the Mega name.
Mega.
Stupid name.
All right, so we saw at Mobile World Congress, we saw the Note 8, the Note 8.0. It has 2 gigs of RAM, Exynos CPU, 1.6 gigahertz quad core. Aesthetically, it's basically, it looks like a larger Galaxy S3, but it's a Note, so it has Note functionality. But so it's like a hybrid between the two, in my opinion. When you guys agree that that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Exactly like it.
Yeah. So it's a bigger Galaxy S device, but it has Note functionality. So the big thing is here in the U.S., it doesn't have phone capabilities, but across the pond, it's also a phone. So I don't understand why carriers here in the U.S. don't allow that. I guess they haven't found a way to completely screw over phone-based tablets or tablet-based phones yet. Once they decide on how to do that, then they'll probably start allowing it to operate here as a phone.
That makes sense. That's actually a very good answer.
So how much does it cost? Starting today, you can get it for $400. Comes with a $25 Google Play gift card, $50 50 gig of Dropbox space for 2 years. So if you want, if a Note 2 is a little small and a Note 10 is a little big, you can now get a Note 8 here in the U.S.
That's not bad of a price.
So now, from an 8-inch device, you can't make phone calls here in the U.S. However, a 6.3-inch device,
Mega,
which is pretty darn close in size, you can.
It's almost a Nexus 7.
Well, yeah. Well, basically, it is.
Mega.
I really want somebody that's good with video editing and Photoshop to take like Sega's logo and have it like transformed to like the Galaxy like logo or something, and have it fly across the screen instead of saying Sega, like Mega. Right, you'll win.
Perfect animation.
Yeah, you'll win something. Scott will give you something.
We'll give out jelly beans.
You're gonna get. You better hold your word to that. People are gonna start sending you their address.
Jelly beans.
So let's talk about this Mega device. The Megas, even though they're half an inch apart, they are in size difference. They have exactly the same internals. Actually, that's incorrect. They don't have exactly the same internals. Very, very similar internals. Processor's a little bit faster on the bigger guy. The screen is a little bit better on the bigger guy. It's a 720p on the 6.3-inch. The 5.8 is an interesting resolution. It's 960 by 640. Like
that's gonna look really good.
That's QHD.
On a 5. Yeah, it's QHD. So on a 5.
Really good.
5.8. Like that thing's gonna look pathetic. Like I don't understand.
It's gonna look really good. It's gonna look crisp. It's gonna look clear.
It's gonna look,
720 on 6.3 ain't gonna be much better.
well, yeah.
It's gonna look like Retina.
Especially if it's pentile.
Yes. So are these gonna be like why do these things have budget displays when the display is the biggest thing on them?
Well, I think they're budget phones, as the dual-core middling processors and 1.5 gigabytes of RAM would suggest.
First of all, why would you make a budget huge phone?
Why not? Because
just wrap your head around. Why would you make a big budget phone?
Because there's people looking for phones on a budget who want big Note-sized phones too. So Samsung's appealing to that market. I don't believe there's a niche in the world that Samsung doesn't think they can market a device to.
It's very true.
If you come up with a new niche of people, they will build a brand new device just for that.
Don't worry, people. Samsung will eventually have a device for you.
Just you.
You know what, Dan? I think that's actually the nail on the head that you just hit. Samsung has so much money because they're the #1 Android manufacturer that they can literally just throw a handful of phones at a wall, and whichever one doesn't break, they'll sell.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they'll sell enough of them to cover their costs for all of the other crap they made.
Yeah. I really think that's what they're doing. It's a big crapshoot for them, and they make so much money that they can afford to blow money putting out devices that don't make sense. And if they end up selling a few of them, who cares? The Galaxy Note 2 and the Galaxy S4 will carry them through.
Exactly.
I wonder. I would love to see the list of phones that gets rejected.
What about the Galaxy Win that was announced this week? What the hell is that?
No. I mean, just think about it. The sheer amount of devices they put out. What is the list of devices that get rejected? Are they made of metal? Are they high quality? Are they nice?
Samsung doesn't have a rejection department, Scott. They don't believe. They don't.
That is true.
I'm sorry, Samsung. You guys make great devices, and we're glad to have you
Yes.
in the Android community. But what you're doing is just boggling our minds, you know?
Yes.
But we like it, though, because I'm one of those people that need a niche device, and eventually I hope it will come, because Samsung, you will make it for me.
Well, you own a Samsung device. You had the Galaxy Nexus.
Yeah, love that phone to death. It was great.
Yeah.
Except for the
Just
battery.
hated Verizon.
So if you're not down with the Samsung, if you're not down with Sammy, you can get some cheap phones from Xiaomi, right, Dan?
Yeah.
Who's
They
that?
announced 2 new devices. So Xiaomi is the company that owns the MIUI custom ROM. And they have been putting out devices for a couple of years now in China that only sell in China, that you can get them imported to the US relatively inexpensively. But they've been hugely successful in China. They keep selling out every time they do a run. So they announced 2 new devices. One is the Mi 2S, and that one's got a 4.3-inch IPS 720 screen, so that should be a pretty nice display, with a 1.7 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon 600 processor. So that's definitely going to be a...
This is a Chinese company, right?
Yes.
Okay, these names, they make sense. American names for
Qualcomm is an
phones?
American company.
It is way better than American names for phones.
Yeah, because Vizio is an American company, and its name makes perfect sense.
No. I'm talking about the phone names, like the Mega.
Oh, the Mi 2S?
Yeah, that makes sense compared to the Mega.
Mega.
That's a reasonable point, as opposed to the Samsung Epic Touch 4G long-term evolution.
Well, that's a tongue twister.
Yes. 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16 or 32 gigabytes of internal storage, 8 or 2 megapixels.
Mega.
And the 2,000 milliamp hour battery. So that should be a pretty powerful phone. Xiaomi's been bragging about it beating the S4 in synthetic benchmarks.
Really?
Though that's based on their say-so, so take it with a grain of salt.
So are these going to be available in the U.S.?
You can get them imported to the U.S. Typically,
won't.
they are HSPA Plus only, and the cost in U.S. dollars is $319 or $367. So that's for the 16 or 32. So cheap devices. And that's before shipping them into the U.S. They also announced a cheaper, lower-end phone, sort of. This one has a larger 4.5-inch display of an unknown density, a 1.7 gigahertz dual-core S4 Pro processor, which I'm pretty sure they really mean Snapdragon 400. 1 gigabyte of RAM, 16 gigabytes of storage only, then the same cameras and battery. And then this one's only 9.5 millimeters thick, so it's a
Only
very
9.5 millimeters. Mega.
And it's also a lot cheaper at only $239.
That's not bad.
$239? That's awesome.
I wish our budget phones were of that quality.
Yes, and that kind of price. Yeah,
That's
I mean, the
not
other
bad.
catch is
With the-
they usually make like 300,000 unit batches,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I wouldn't like the 1 gig of RAM though. That's my only gripe about that.
Yeah, the 2A is definitely the lower end phone. But I mean, the S at 320 and 370 are not expensive devices.
Yeah, you say those letters, and I know exactly what phone you're talking about. And yet, when you say like, Derek,
Touch.
Mega.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Then
So,
Maybe Samsung will make the Galaxy Mega Genesis.
respond to that, I'm gonna be so pissed.
At that point, you know they really are just looking to get sued.
maybe
If Asus gets sued over the Transformer Prime, you know the Mega Genesis is getting killed.
Okay, we should stop. We should get serious for a second. Let's get serious and talk
what's
about
going on
some
in custom ROM world, Derek.
Yeah. So over at Rootin' and Ramen,
Is that a place?
Yes.
yes, it's actually a place in Canada.
Far away.
So CyanogenMod continues to CM all the things. Today, actually, CyanogenMod released Milestone 3, Monthly version 3, Stable version 3, whatever you want to call it, M3. That just means it's better, more stable than a nightly build, and they usually stop. They do like a code freeze and stop a feature freeze and try to fix bugs and everything and get stable it up, tighten it up, and release an M build. So that came out today for handful of devices, and the list keeps growing. So check it out if you're a CM fan. It's fairly stable. Scott, are you rocking CM? Or are you still down with the pink unicorn?
Down with the pink.
Down with the pink?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm like I have tried some others. I was on CM for about a week. I did like it. Just not something that I was used to. I probably need to give more time.
All right. Well, let's talk about another up-and-coming ROM. This one actually hits home for Dan and I.
Aww.
And actually, you too, Scott, because these guys were actually on the show a couple times a long time ago, like a year ago. We need to have them back.
Definitely.
Anyways, so we're going to talk about Chameleon OS for a minute, a.k.a. Chaos ROM. A little bit of background on them here before we get into some features. Chaos ROM was born from MIUI. It's an open source alternative to MIUI, because right now MIUI, or MIUI, is closed source. So a brief history of why this happened. Every week, Xiaomi, which we just talked about, the makers of the Mi 2A and the Mi 2S, they put out a weekly build of their custom ROM, and it's a Chinese ROM. It's there's no. It's not open source, so no one really knows what was changed, and it comes out with new features, bug fixes, and so forth, and chances are there's new bugs and new things are broken and things are changed, and the guys over at MIUI.us, they try to make changes to it and to port it to new additional devices. They translate it from Chinese to English and so forth, and they get the ROM working on tons of devices that weren't originally supported, and it becomes basically more of a pain in the ass for them as time goes on, because new bugs get introduced, new features get introduced, new things happen on a weekly basis, and they try to port these ROMs over to devices, and things just break, and they don't know why, and it becomes a real pain. So what they decided to do a long time ago was to reverse engineer the MIUI theme engine and to bring about the same type of awesome user customization and theming that MIUI has, but open source it and build it into an AOSP ROM. And that's what they did. And since it changes colors, themes so easily, they called it Chameleon ROM, or Chameleon OS, or Chaos for short. So anyways, a little bit about it here. The features are pretty simple. There's a lot of features, I guess. It's built on top of CyanogenMod. So it's fully open source. It's highly customized, such as the launcher is completely redesigned and allowing things such as gestures, previews, scaling, and so forth. The advanced theme manager, which is reverse engineered from MIUI, is included, and it allows you to mix and match various themes. So much more than the CM theme engine does if you're not really familiar with MIUI. It allows you to go in and change your icons to one icon set, your status bar to another, maybe your lock screen to another, your boot animation to another, messaging theme to this, the framework theme to that, ringtones for this, font to that. I mean, it is insanely customizable, and you can pick and choose from various themes to get your phone or your tablet, to exactly how you want it to be. It has customized status bar and customized toggles, customized messaging, as I said, and the messaging actually layout has been revised as well. And the neat thing is you can directly manage your installed app permissions directly from the ROM, which is pretty cool. And as a guy that used to love MIUI back in the Gingerbread days, I honestly haven't ran it since Ice Cream Sandwich came out. I'm going to try it out here. I actually haven't. Well, the only device I have that's supported is my Nexus 7, and I don't install a lot of ROMs on my Nexus 7 just because I like to keep it clean and stock. But from time to time, I do test out a ROM for review and reporting purposes. So this weekend, I plan on giving it a test run, and so I can give my official opinion on it. But from what I'm hearing so far from the developers and from people that have tried it, some people say that it's awesome and they love it, and there's a lot of potential there.
Is it down with the Mako?
Yes, it is down with the Mako. You should give it a try.
I think my Mako will have some fun with it.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is, yes, it is a new ROM, but it does support MTZ themes, which is the MIUI, the MIUI theme.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and install all those themes that are, there's thousands of themes already available for it. Now they do have their own, a CTZ theme, that's specifically for Chameleon, but you don't have to use that. You can use any of the existing ones that are out there. So that's pretty awesome. I do want to try it out. I don't know if I'll stick with it on a tablet just because I don't like a tablet that customized. But if I didn't have this phone, if I didn't have the DNA, I'd definitely be running it right now. So if you have any questions about MIUI, go ahead and drop it in the comments here, and we'll forward it on to the developers if we can't answer them directly, and maybe we'll have them on the show here in a few weeks. We haven't had them on in a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some carrier news, Dan. What are carriers been doing over here in the U.S.?
Yeah, so last week we mentioned that T-Mobile and Metro PCS, their merger was kind of on the rocks because the Metro PCS shareholders are kind of miffed because the offer was probably $3 or $4 per share below Metro's current market value. So basically the shareholders are upset that they aren't getting their money's worth out of the buyout. And T-Mobile has come back and increased their bid in what they've said is their best and final offer. So it's kind of in the shareholders' court now whether or not they will accept the offer. So we'll see how that goes. They're voting, I believe, at the end of the month. So in a couple of weeks, we will know whether or not that deal is going through. It's already gotten cleared by the DOJ and the FCC, so it's just up to Metro PCS's shareholders now. AT&T is rolling out more LTE in 3 or 4 new markets and expanding several others. They've also rolled out their plans for some 67 new markets to be deployed over the summer. So definitely look forward to lots of new AT&T LTE really everywhere. Sprint is also rumored to be turning on some 21 new markets in the next couple of weeks. So lots more LTE coming out for really everybody all over the U.S. with whoever your carrier is at this point. And then across the pond, Everything Everywhere is announcing plans to double the channel width of their LTE network, which is very technical on the back end, but essentially what they're doing is making the pipe wider, the pipe that all of the traffic goes through wider by double the diameter. So it's going to speed things up a lot. It's going to allow for a lot more customers as people continue to join their network. And it's really going to set them up sort of in the long term, especially for moving towards LTE Advanced, which they also announced their plans to look into. So Everything Everywhere is definitely charging ahead with LTE in the UK. I know they plan to have, I think they already have half of the population of the UK covered, and are planning to expand that pretty rapidly from here. So definitely good for our friends across the pond. And then in other industry news, the Fair Search Alliance, which is made up of Microsoft, Oracle, Nokia, Expedia, TripAdvisor, a bunch of other companies, have filed a formal complaint against Google in the European Union. Basically, they're complaining about two anti-competitive practices from Google. The first one is giving away Android for free. Yes, that's right. Microsoft and Oracle are telling the world that open source software is by nature anti-competitive.
What?
Yes.
Do it like Apple does and take a free operating system and make people pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's just a shocking position to be taken. All of those companies, well, not all of them, but Oracle and Microsoft and Nokia contribute to open source communities.
They're upset because Google was licensing products on top of free OS, and that
exactly.
That's a horrible
That's the second piece of the complaint. Is they're complaining that the Google Apps suite, so that's the Play Store, Gmail, Talk, the whole kind of suite of apps that tends to come with every device. They're basically saying that's anti-competitive too. But the problem with that argument is that the manufacturers can choose to not release a device with Google software on it. Amazon does it. Lots of companies do it in China and other places abroad. It's not particularly common in the US, but there were a couple of years ago a few devices on Verizon that had Bing set as the default search. So OEMs definitely have the choice that they never had with Internet Explorer. So what Microsoft and these other companies actually put in the complaint is that companies can't really choose to not use Google's products because all of the other alternatives are terrible and nobody wants them.
Well, that's basically
because we and everybody else can't build a program to compete with the programs that Google makes. They're being anti-competitive.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense in a rational person's mind.
No. No, not at all.
I mean, it's coming from Microsoft and Nokia, who does the exact same thing. Your phones that they make still have Microsoft software on it.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
Microsoft's just butthurt because what did they do for years in the EU, and finally the EU caught up with them and said, no, we need to have a menu saying pick your browser on installation. So they got screwed. So now that they're looking to bring the same thing, basically.
They got double screwed. They were approached and they said no. And then they got double fined.
I know.
They're like, okay, you're not going to play ball. You know, we're going to fine you double. And they're like, ooh, that hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are patent maximalists and copyright maximalists and Google haters of repute out there who are laughing at this filing because it's just so outrageous. I mean, to claim that open source software is anti-competitive because it's free is just ridiculous.
They're just butt hurt because nobody wants to buy their freaking ecosystem on the mobile, and eventually, maybe desktop.
Yeah. And then in other European legal news, Apple's slide to unlock patent, and that's the 381 patent in the U.S., was invalidated in Germany. The courts there struck it down and said that it never should have been issued since it's intuitively obvious.
And then didn't they make fun of U.S. patents?
Yes.
And I kind of like that because I think the U.S. patent system needs to grow up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, in U.S. patent news this week, there was a pretty telling report about the processing of the USPTO over the last several years. So there was a big stink, probably about 10 years ago, maybe more, about how the Patent and Trade Office was more or less just rubber stamping everything. And so they kind of cracked down on it and started paying attention, but sadly that was at the same point when everybody realized that you can just buy up patents and run around suing people and make tons of money doing it without having to actually make any products or do anything. So people started filing a lot more patents, which then led to a backlog. So the outgoing Patent and Trade Office manager, as his big shining achievement, is that he cut down on this backlog, which means that the approval rate has gone upwards of 90%. 90% of every application submitted gets approved. That's 90%.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
60% of all patents that are reviewed in front of a court or reviewed by the USPTO get struck down.
I would argue it'd be more than that.
I mean, that's just based on how many have actually been struck down.
Yeah, I mean, there should be maybe even a process before a patent gets approved where someone that would be able to contest that submit something to them, helps them out with the prior art, with the...
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very public process, and the patent and trade officers, their job in terms of performance is rated on how many applications did you approve, not how many did you process. How many did you approve? When that's the way your job is set up, all you're going to do is approve applications, because that's your job. Your job is to approve applications. It's not your job to review them and analyze them and actually think about them. It's just your job to approve them. And the other problem with that is that companies can submit like 42 different types of appeals when it gets rejected. And so the way the Patent and Trade Office likes to skew their numbers is by counting each one of those resubmissions as a separate one that's a rejection. When that patent eventually gets approved, they just count it as one approval and 5 rejections instead of just one approval. So that's why the number is a lot closer to 90 than the USPTO would ever want to admit. But yeah, the companies are just resubmitting their patents until they happen upon an inspector that's going to rubber stamp it.
And why not?
Yeah, exactly. There's no disincentive for companies. There's no disincentive for filing bogus patents. There's no disincentive for refiling the same bogus patents over and over and over and over again.
Because one will stick to the Velcro wall.
Yeah, and there's no disincentive for getting a bogus patent and then suing the crap out of other people for it and then having it struck down.
With lightning.
Yeah, there's no disincentive for any of it.
Yeah.
It is not a good situation at all.
I wonder what's going to happen. Something's got to happen.
Well, we say that about so many things in America, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good place here, though.
It is a good place here, yeah.
No, we do a lot to screw things up here.
Everything we can.
Like we really try we really try our hardest to screw a lot of things up. Like,
Are you talking about you personally or about the U.S.?
well, I was actually talking about the U.S., Scott. It wasn't very nice.
Oh, okay.
When he
All
screws
right,
up,
so we had a question or two earlier in the show here about the Nexus headphone. Well, Scott Anderson just happens to have a Nexus headphone. So if you want to see what that looks like here, it has a nice little Nexus symbol on it. Hold it still there. There you go.
Shut up.
Harder than it looks.
I can't talk while I'm laughing.
Mega! All right, so Scott, inquiring minds want to know, did you buy the Nexus USB cable?
No. And even if I did, I would not admit it.
You know, if you did buy the Nexus USB cable, I want to see an unboxing video. Like that.
I think that would be a very exciting...
I would love. You know, I haven't looked on YouTube. Has anyone done a Nexus USB cable unboxing yet?
it'd be amazing if they packaged it just, extremely well. Like this little velvet lining in the bottom of it or something.
The packaging was okay.
Okay, so to be honest, Scott, we don't care about the packaging. How does it sound?
Okay, first of all, the packaging was okay. Sound is okay.
All right, so those Galaxy Nexus headphones that we got with our Verizon Galaxy Nexus?
It blows those out of the water.
Okay.
They're definitely a lot higher quality than those.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I was aiming for. I needed one with a microphone.
So how much did they cost with shipping?
20-some.
$20. You know what? And if you went down to like Best Buy and picked them up, that's what you're going to pay at Best Buy for a average quality pair. $20-$30.
Yeah.
And you can get some extreme generic for $10, or you can spend $100 and get something that I would never spend that amount of money on headphones, but that's me.
I had some
Are
plate
they
grip too,
supposed to
so I had to
be
get rid of it.
standard Apple earbuds?
How much are those?
I have no idea.
I've never bought them. I don't buy iOS products.
I don't think they're 100. I think they're like probably 50 or 60 if I remember.
No. Are you serious?
Yeah, I think the ones with the mic are like 40. I don't know though.
Somebody go to the Forbidden website and
All right. Well, I think that was pretty much it for questions. I think we're done, and we're done on time. You know.
On time.
So how did the show go last week, guys? You know, I was out sick, and I did watch it. I didn't give it my undivided attention when I watched it. You know, so I must have I might have missed a thing or two. Hey, I watched it the next day when I was still sick, so that's why I didn't give it my full undivided attention. But it looked like it went really well. You guys gave away some product. You know, it looks like you guys had a lot of fun too. It was a decent show. Good.
Yeah, it's a good show.
I think the viewers liked it because they had the chance to win. You know, I thought I had the chance to win. That's why I was on the show. I wanted to.
Well, you know what? You know what, Scott? Next week we'll give away something. Next week, I have 10 things to give away. I've had for like a month to give away, and I need.
Oh yeah, you have.
I need to give them away. So let's give them away next week.
Can we get a little hint as to what they are for the viewers?
All right. So
No, a hint. Don't show them it.
So I know the Galaxy Mega just got announced.
Oh my god.
And the Galaxy S4 is going to be available soon, but for those of you that are going to be rocking the Galaxy S3 for the next year, or plan on buying a Galaxy S3 now that they're extremely cheap for like $100 or something,
or know somebody that has an S3 that you feel bad for them.
Yeah, I have some Galaxy S3 cases to give away from. They're made from it. They're made by a famous designer. I'm not going to show them. That's the spoiler right there. I'll just talk about it. I mean, I've been wanting to give them away for a long time. They're very neat, in terms of design. Would I use one? They're not my cup of tea, but that doesn't mean they're not cool design. I just don't like cases. All right, so Scott, if people want to tune in next week to win a Galaxy S3 case,
well, we're going to figure out how we're going to do it. Might be comments. I like that, how we did the comments. If you guys like how we did the comments, comment and let us know. If you guys want to watch the show next week and possibly tune in to win, go to our Google Plus page. We're always there Thursday nights, next Thursday at 8:30 Central. AndroidAuthority.com. Scroll on the bottom right?
Soon.
Okay, so
that feature is. So if you guys haven't noticed yet, about a week and a half ago, we rolled out a new version of our website. It's still in beta, so we haven't done an official, hey, this is our new website post. The Android Authority on Air widget is missing from it right now. Those of you that can fix that are watching this right now, let us know. We want to get that up there as soon as possible, but the new website is awesome. I love it. It's extremely clean and professional.
It's faster.
It's faster, and there's all sorts. There's all sorts of like neat metrics built in the background, like of how posts get ranked automatically based on popularity and age and everything, and their comments and their social numbers, their social being impacted and being shared and everything. So all this this neat math stuff happens in the background, and that's cool.
And Derek, we all know you like math.
I do love math. I hate math.
You can also find us on SoundCloud and Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and we have an RSS feed for the shows, and Google Currents, which podcast integration, that's how I've been doing my podcast lately, and I love it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you, and have a good night, and we will see you next week.
Peace.